पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितं भगवतां नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन कथितं पुराणं मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणी भगवती अष्टादशाध्यायिनी अम्ब त्वामनुसन्ततां भगवद्गीते भगवद्वेषिणी.
Yeah, we can read 3 and 4 together.
Verses 3 and 4.
Yeah.
न रूपमस्येह ततोपलभ्यते नान्तो न चादिर्न सम्प्रतिष्ठा अश्वत्थमेनं सुविरूढमूलम् असङ्गशस्त्रेण दृढेन चित्वा. न रूपमस्येह
रूपमस्येह तदोपलभ्यते नान्दो न सम्प्रतिष्ठा अश्वत्थमेनं सुविरूढमूल असङ्गशस्त्रेण दृढेन चित्वा. इह tata, as it is here, asya its rupam form, no upalabhyate is not perceived, na antaha, it has no end, na cha adihi, and no beginning, na cha sampratishta, no continuance, suviruddha moolam, its roots are well entrenched. Suviruddha moolam, its roots are well entrenched. Enam ashwattham, this ashwatha tree, dridena, firm, asanga sastrena, with the weapon of detachment, chitva, cutting. Tatapadam tatparimarkitavyam yasmin gata na nivardanti bhuyaha tameva sadhyam purusham prapadye yata pravritti prasrita purani. Tataha, after that, yataha, from whom, purani, primeval, pravrittihi, creation, prasrita, has come forth, yasmin, into which, gataha, those who are gone, bhuyaha, again, na nivartanti, do not return, tam yevacha adyam purusham, to that person alone who is in the beginning, prapadye, I surrender, that, padam, end, parimarkitavyam, is to be properly inquired into. Its form is not as perceived as it is perceived here. It has no end, no beginning, and no continuance in between. After cutting this ashwatha tree, whose roots are well entrenched with the firm weapon of detachment, then that end into which those who are gone do not return again is to be properly inquired into, with the attitude that I surrender to that Adi Purusha alone, from whom the primeval creation has come forth. The form of this tree is not known, even though we describe it in detail with its roots, branches and leaves. If we begin to analyze it, there is no tree at all, only name and form, nama rupa. This is true of any object. Take space as an example. Without a reference like ceiling or floor, there is no space. At least one object is required as a reference point to establish the concept of space. In no sense does it have an existence of its own. If you analyze it, you will only find one consciousness, Chaitanya, Then take up the analysis of air. Is it hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, or carbon dioxide? On inquiry, it has no real existence. But we
It too has
cannot.
no real existence.
It too has no real existence. But we cannot dismiss the tree of samsara as non existent, otherwise, there would not be a description of it. At the same time, we cannot say it has an independent existence.
Yeah, this is what is told, like sat chet na badeta, asat chet na pratiyeta. Meaning sat, if it is sat, real, it will never have non-existence. Whereas we find anything you take, drishta nashta subhava. Drishta nashta subhava meaning it appears and it goes. It appears and it goes. So it cannot be called sat because it has non-existent, existent alternately. Whereas at the same time, we cannot say it is non-existent totally because we are able to transact it. We are doing transaction, there is chemical reaction, air is there, carbon dioxide is there, oxygen is there, all those things are available for transaction. So you cannot say totally non-existent. But at the same time, it is not existent totally. So not existent totally, not totally non-existence, that is precisely referred to as mithya. That is what he says, mithya existence. That's what he is going to explain.
Swamiji, can you repeat that? Na sat? Sat na?
Tat chet na
Chet.
badeta. Badeta means you cannot negate it totally. Sat chet na badeta. Asat chet na pratiyeta. Pratiyeta meaning it's available for transaction. Yeah.
Sruti's intent is not to describe the tree of samsara, but to point out that it is mithya and unfold the one satya upon which it is based. If you know this, the karana, you know everything. Sankara says, samsara is like a dream, mirage water, magic, or a city seen in the clouds. In its own time, it appears to be real, but when you analyze it in terms of reality, it has no being. At the same time, you cannot say it is rootless, for its root alone is the truth. Everything else is a superimposition upon that, and therefore mithya. Thus, Bhagavan says that in the form in which it has been described, this samsara is not available, na rupam asyega tata upalabhyate. This can be viewed in two ways. If we look at it from the standpoint of Param Brahma, there is only one vastu. Any name and form, nama and rupa, on inquiry, resolves into this vastu and is therefore from the standpoint of the vastu purely a projection. Name and form, the sense of agency and so on, are superimposed upon Atma due to ignorance and considered different from Atma. Seeing the known world as different from the knower and the knowledge the differences which constitute samsara is but a projection. Now viewing the world from the empirical, Vyavaharika standpoint, along with its element, laws, punya papa, karma, results of karma, the body, hunger, knowledge, delusion, etc., as though it is satya and meant to bind you, is not true. Then there is Ishvara, a material cause, an order, karma, karmapala, ignorance, waking, dream, sleep, and so on. All these are possible when you look at the tree of samsara as described. From the empirical standpoint, from the standpoint of the absolute reality, none of these exist. Brahman alone is. Swamiji, actually, I have a question here.
Yeah.
This body, hunger, knowledge, delusion, if they are not there, then there is nothing, there is no life.
See, it is not that if you look at them, this body, hunger, knowledge, delusion, etc., it doesn't say it is not there. He says you cannot take them as Satya, as though it is Satya. It is only as though. Swakale Satyavat Bhati. That is what, in the sense, these are all available for transaction, but you must be very alert to the fact they are not Satyam. They are transactional. It will be there, it will be appearing to be there as though, then it will go away. It will come again and it will go away. Every day it will happen. Like even getting up and going away. Every day you get up, do a lot of things, in the night everything gets resolved, lie and then again next day morning you get up. So it's a continuously changing existence. So it is not, doesn't say it is not, that's what I am telling. It is not non-existent. But it is not existent as you think it is. Because we give a value of Satyatvam, that is why we get bugged by it or overwhelmed by it whenever something happens which has not as per our expectation. Because it is changing all the time, it need not, it may conform to your expectation, that if at all it's grace, I would say. If it doesn't conform to your expectation, it is only expected. It is how it is. So that is precisely what is being told here. Is that the sense only they are all empirically true. Empirically true means what? Sokale Satyavat Bhatya. And its reference point, within that reference, what we are, within the paradigm, it's all there. Once the paradigm changes, it goes off. So like that. So the paradigm, if you are looking at it from the paradigm of absolute Satyam, that is your reality. If you are aware or alert to that, my reality is Desa Kala Vastu Aparichinnam, changeless. From the changeless viewpoint, these are all changing. It is all the time changing. Vyavaharika, transactional. That's all. And if I am very much alert to that, then there is no issue. What is told Mithya is, Mithya means it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It exists as though Satyam. It is not real Satyam. It is only Satyam for the time being. That understanding is called, is what is driven home by these verses. Having explained what is Satyam, now we are being told that only Satyam is the Purushottama, the Brahmatma, Atma, whatever. Everything else is Mithya. All Vyavaharical transactions, all worldly transactions, worldly living is Mithya. That is what is being told. So, it is not that if they are not there, I don't exist, is not true. Because you exist without all these things when you are sleeping. So, what is being told is the reality. Purely Mithya is the reality word. Satya also is the reality word. So, Vyavaharika, all this Paramarthika are all reality terms. Reality terms, the level of reality is pointing out time and again. So, the whole Vedanta, the subject matter is the reality of life. If we give for a Vyavaharika reality, absolute reality, it is delusion. And if you Paramarthika reality, if you don't, just because you don't see it, it doesn't exist, if you think, that is also equally delusion. The very fact that you, the being, is not seen, it's not objectifiable. That is precisely the starting of the problem. So since we don't see our reality as the being, we identify ourselves what is available for transaction. That is body, mind, senses. That is where the whole problem starts. So either way, if you don't understand Satya and say it is non-existent, that is also Mithya. If you transaction, because you don't understand Satya and the transactions you take it as Satya, that is also Mithya. So, Atasmin Tadbuddhi, Tasmin Atadbuddhi. In the truth, if you impose non-truth, that is also delusion. In the non-truth, if you impose truth, that is also delusion. Both ways we are caught. That is precisely that Viveka is to discriminate what is Satyam and what is Mithya. That is called the Viveka. Like even Dharma and Adharma is a Viveka. Here, Satyam and Nityam. What is Satyam and Mithya Vivekam? That is what the subject matter of the whole Gita study or any Vedanta for that matter. Raises you to the level of Dharma and Adharma within Vyavaharika. So there you will never find it absolute. But you will look for absolute. Everything Dharma means we want absolute. And it is never going to be there, because even dharma and adharma both are within the order of mithya reality. Even though there is a logic in that, because Ishvara's matrix of dharma has a logical within the Vyavaharika also. So that is why we are able to live a sane life, even though we don't understand what is Satyam and what is Mithya. In spite of that, we are able to live a sane life because the dharma matrix also is fairly logical within Mithya. But it is not Satyam. In spite of all that, that is why we want to know. That is why, because it doesn't work all the time, we want to grow out of this dharma viveka to Satya and Mithya viveka. For that, you have to live a life of dharma and understand what is dharma and stick to it, what is adharma and avoid it. Then you will not have conflict. Within the order of Mithya reality, which is your body, mind, senses, there will be some harmony, samadhanam will be there, the shuddhi will be there. It's a nicely focus, a concentration of your whatever you want to do, you will be able to focus. All that are needed for you to study. All that is needed in your vivahara also. Very much required. But very much so in case of study of Vedanta, where you will be able to keep aside all these things and understand what is in Satyam and Vidya. So once you understand that, this Viveka holds. And thereafter, within that body, hunger, knowledge, everything and all, you will be able to operate appropriately without giving Satyatvam for that. You will not get overwhelmed by that. So still, you will not have an agenda. Dharma means you will follow Dharma. You will not, if something goes wrong because of following Dharma, it is Mithya, that's what is going to happen. We will not blame ourselves or blame others also. We will try and rectify it to the next person and keep moving. Because we know it's all happening in the realm of Mithya. That is the advantage of knowing Satya, Nitya, Vastu, Viveka. Then only you can be a truly dharmic person. Otherwise, we do tell, but definitely when it is not convenient, we will not follow them. Because we think that is Satyam. And Satyam means what? Satyam is you. And you cannot be, you are absolute. In reality, you are absolute. But that absoluteness you surrender to the Mithya. And in Mithya, you are looking for Satyam. Because you per se, you are a fulfilled person. You are a Purnam. So you cannot accept anything apurnatvam. So in Dharma also, you will look for Purnatvam. But it is not Purnatvam, it doesn't exist there. Every Dharma comes with some Dharma. Every karma, if it doesn't, every puja, some mistake will be there. That is why kaya na vacha, at the end of it. So that is what we have to. The viveka has to be at two levels. One is dharma viveka, another is satya nitya vastu. Now we are dealing with satya nitya vastu viveka. After all these 12-13 chapters, Bhagavan is completing this. Purushottama is purely concentrating on your reality. This is what is, and everything else is that samsara vriksham, that the vriksham that looks like it is real, even though it looks like it is real, it is anityam. Everything is moving all the time. That is what is being told. That vriksha, by this understanding, you will fell the tree meaning, you will fall the tree meaning, you are going to, with the acts of understanding, you will remove the samsara vriksham. That is what is being described here.
Swamiji, that Sakale Satyavat Bhati, then what is the next line?
Prabodhe asat. Prabodhe meaning when you wake up.
It is asat.
Yeah, I will know that. Okay, it is fine while transacting, but once I wake up to this reality, I know it is like a dream.
Rather, this samsara has neither beginning nor end, nor continuance in between. Nanto na cha
Nanto na chadir na cha sampradishta. Like that it comes in Mandukya 2.6. Mandukya Karika 2.6 is what do you call it? Explains the Mithya. The whole Karika, the second chapter, is talking about the Mithyatvam of Jagat. In various ways it explains. So that is what na antaha na cha adihi na cha sampradishta. Meaning it is neither a beginning nor an end, nor even if as it exists, it keeps changing. That is what our life is. As it exists, we are changing moment to moment. Last moment you are different, this moment you are different. But we don't know. That is how the life is. That is what Nanto na chadir na cha sampradishta. That is what is the Karika's explanation of Vidya. Yeah.
Gaudapada has said, that which did not exist before and that which will not exist later does not exist now. Advante,
Adavante.
adavante,
Adav means beginning.
adavante che
Yat nasti
nasti
vartamane api
vartamane
tat
api tat tata.
tattada. Vartamane means presence. Even in the presence, it is changing, but we don't know. We so imperceptibly is changing, very small in minuscule ways, but we don't. We think it's everything same only as we do the vyavahara. So that is what it means. Vartamanepi tattata. That is why I even told before some time back that even Sanskrit, Panini, he has only expressed Vartamane let. In the sense, as far as he is concerned, present tense alone is really he has given the sutra. Everything else, past tense, future, and all that, that's a derivative of that let. Meaning let is present tense. Vartamane, Vartamana meaning present tense. Only present tense is reality. Only presence is reality. Everything else, presence is reality. The past tense, present tense, future tense, the time is it's purely changing. Vidya. That's what he is trying to say. Yeah.
Actually, in Malayalam, they say, "Enda vartamanam."
Vartamanam. Yeah, Vartamanam is a very famous word in Malayalam.
என்ன சமாச்சாரம் கேட்கறதுக்கு they say, "enda vartamanam."
Vartamanam, இப்போதைக்கு okay, அவ்வளவுதான். You don't know what will happen next moment. That is a fact of life.
We also say Vartamane Vyavaharike Prabhavati.
ஆமா
Samvatsaranam madhye. Yeah. It's all there. Vartamana is it's a true statement. Vartamana is what we have to look for. Then only we have to be always in the presence. That is called even the presence of mind. In the sense, you have to be in the presence, always alert, and do what you need to do. That's it. Yeah.
For example, before the pot was born, it was not there. After it is destroyed, it is not there. In between, it cannot really exist. It only seems to exist.
Appearance. It's only an appearance. That's why it's called an appearance. It is not existence. It is appearance.
The projected samsara, the differences of known instrument of knowledge, jnanatra,
Jnatra, Jnaya, Jnana. Jnatra means Jnata, the person who knows. Jnaya means what is being known. Jnana means the means of knowledge. Yeah.
Yes. Or superimposed upon Atma, the one Vastu certainly has no beginning or end. Between Atma and the creation, which is Mithya, the connection is the superimposition, which has no beginning because it is rooted in ignorance. Nor does it have an end, since it is not there to begin with. With no beginning or end, naturally it is not there in between. A part, for example, on inquiry reduces to pure consciousness, Chaitanya. It disappears on analysis because it has been erroneously projected on Brahman. From the standpoint of Brahman, everything other than Brahman is superimposed and therefore has no beginning, no end, nor any being now.
Nor any being now also. That is what it means, yeah.
Empirically, it is true and not true from an absolute standpoint.
Empirically, it is true and
not true from an absolute standpoint. In mistaking a rope for a snake, the rope is true, whereas the snake is not. But you cannot arrive at the unreality of the snake unless the rope is more real. Thus, we have what we know as an empirical reality which behaves according to a certain order. From the standpoint of the empirical world, Brahman becomes Satya while the world is Mithya. When looking at the world as something entirely different from Brahman, duality is real, the jivas are many, each one different from the other, and therefore the world becomes the cause for fear. Disease, death, and everything else becomes real, not Mithya. If the world is seen as Mithya, it is true empirically, but it is not Satya. Without that vision, there is samsara. How can samsara be negated? By seeing its true form. Shankara says its nature is such that it perishes as it is seen, drashta nashta swabhava. Even as we are seeing it, it is gone. We have no way of keeping an object in the same form as it is at this moment. In the next moment, it will inexorably change. Because of this also, it has no beginning, no end, no being of its own. From the standpoint of Brahman, it has no reality whatsoever. Once we analyze an object, it disappears into the Vastu. Although we may say that this body was born at a given time, we cannot say samsara was born. Even empirically, since the creation passes from unmanifest to manifest and again to unmanifest and so on, it has no beginning, much less a being of its own. When we go to sleep, the whole thing disappears, and even while awake, it is never the same. It keeps changing and disappearing. Even though he has said it has no continuance, in the next line Krishna says it is very well rooted. It is suviruddha mula.
Suviruda Mula.
Suviruddha mula. Until enquiry starts and finishes, it has very good roots, since there is no better rooting than in ignorance. Everything else will be uprooted in time, but ignorance can only be uprooted by knowledge, jnana. Time can merely provide sufficient experiences of pain to perhaps develop a jignasa, desire to know, which can spark an enquiry leading to the knowledge that uproots the ignorance. Being rooted in ignorance, samsara has no real form, but being rooted in ignorance, it is very well rooted. It is suviruddha mula.
Very paradoxical statement. See, it is rooted in ignorance, so it has no real existence. But at the same time, the ignorance is so strong,
It is rooted.
so well rooted that it is Rubiruda. That is our life. Yeah.
Detachment is the axe to fell this tree. To fell it, a particular axe is required. The axe of detachment, Asanga Shastra.
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 Actually, mistake.
Asanga Shastra.
Mistake. Actually, Shastra is okay, but
Weapon.
in the verse it is Asanga Shastra. Shastra meaning actually there is one is technical word. Astra is what is thrown. Shastra means what is done in the hand. An axe is with the hand only you will cut. Okay, it will remain in your hand. Astra means you throw a bow and arrow. An arrow is called astra, whereas axe is called shastra. So the Asanga Shastra only it is here. But Shastra is okay, Viveka. That is, we can say that. But in the verse it is Asanga Shastra.
By distinguishing between the subject and object, the erroneous identification of oneself with the physical body, senses, and mind is withdrawn. The act of detachment is the inquiry into the nature of self and not self. With this, the tree of samsara is felled. This detachment, asanga, must be firm, dhrida. Asangatva begins with the external world, and Shankara mentions one's son as the first towards whom one should develop asangatva. The very expression my son means there is an attachment. Friends are another source of attachment. One may want to renounce but may find it difficult to leave one's circle of friends. It is true that this is not easy and takes some time, but later you find that when you are with them, there is no common topic of conversation. They talk about clothes, movies, and other things that no longer hold your interest, and you cannot open your mouth about what interests you. So you just stay with them, have a cup of coffee, and walk out. Money or any type of material wealth is something that is often difficult to give up. Last thing to be given up is the desire to go to heaven, not by running away but by proper inquiry, looking into oneself. One can gain a detachment from all these. After all, they are not physical, they are purely in the form of thoughts. Statements of the Shruti, such as everything becomes beloved for the sake of oneself alone, Atmanastu Kamaya Sarvam Priyam Bhavati, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad 2.4.5.
This we have discussed quite a bit.
Yes, help us in this type of enquiry. Binding love, like infatuation or even obsession for a person, can be converted into simple love for yourself expressed through love for that person. In this way, through inquiry, attachment is lessened with reference to a sense of ownership, mamakara. Closely following this sense of ownership, mamakara, is an erroneous sense of I, the ahankara. These are the adventitious roots of the tree of samsara. The principal root remains, however, and to remove it, the self has to be known. For this, we need a proper inquiry, parimargana. The prefix pari indicates how this inquiry has to be done, that is, with the help of the Shastra and the teacher. In this manner, with the help of the teacher, the Shastra Vakya, Mahavakya, equating Brahman, the cause of creation, with the self, has to be properly inquired into and understood. This is what is meant by the advice Tat Padam Parimargitavyam.
Pari is referred to generally Pariprasnena Sevaya. The Pariprasnena Sevaya meaning proper question with lot of vinayam. You must keep asking. You should not just accept whatever the Acharya or the Shastra tells. You must ask questions. So the whole teaching in terms of a dialogue between a student and a teacher. So the Pariprashna is referred to as Pari. Pari means very clearly, till the time you understand, you must ask questions. Do not leave it. Pariprashnena sevaya. But with lot of shraddha and lot of vinayam, you must ask questions and get the answers from the teacher through the Shastra.
The axe is sharpened with viveka and strengthened by purushartha nischaya. Mere detachment is not enough. Without something positive, there is repression, and you will find yourself detaching from one thing only to get attached to something else. Given the nature of the pursuit, this is likely to be something unhealthy like an ideal. So, Shankara says, firmness is required with reference to Purushartha, the human pursuit. Living in samsara, you cannot release yourself from samsara. Husband, wife, children, and so on are not going to solve the problem. They can give you some maturity if you are intelligent and ready to learn. Otherwise, they can intensify your problems and entrench you further in samsara. If you are lucky in the process of growth, you may realize that moksha is what you want. Yet, this is not enough. That desire to be free must be converted to a desire to know, jignasa. This, Shankara says, has to be the commitment, nischaya. The understanding that moksha is in the form of knowledge is not an ordinary thing and is arrived at only with a lot of viveka. A desire to be free is converted into a desire to know. That is why the analysis of the Vedanta Shastra, that is the Uttara Mimamsa, Brahma Sutra, begins with Athato Brahma Jignasa as the first sutra. It means thereafter, therefore, an enquiry into Brahman has to be done. Footnote, Athato Brahma Jignasa, Brahma Sutra, Atha, thereafter, after gaining Sadhana Chadushtiya Sampatti, Ataha, therefore, because one seeks Nityatva, limitlessness, and that is not gained through action, Brahma Jignasa, enquiry into Brahman, Kartavya, is to be done.
Yeah, basically what it means is thereafter there is one another Atha, then Ataha. Ataha meaning therefore. This I have explained before also. That is what, because one seeks Nityatva limited, that is not gained through action. That is what we call what is that? I have told no before, like Mandaka Upanishad. What it is? Pariksha lokan karmachitan nirvedam ayat brahmanaha nasti akritaha kritena tad vijnanartham gurumevapi gachet. So what it means is Pariksha lokan, by going through all your experiences in life hitherto, Pariksha lokan karmachitan, by doing karma, nasti Pariksha lokan karmachitan nirvedam ayat brahmanaha, meaning nirvedam means vairagyam. Why, what vairagyam? What I am looking for a sense of absolute Atmanastu Kamaya. That in the sense I want to be a complete person at all times, in all situations, whatever be the circumstances. If that cannot be, we know by doing the pariksha, we know it is not possible because everything is changing. What we have told, everything is changing. From the changing, how can you look for a changeless happiness all the time? I should be happy, peaceful, the situation should be always conducive, always happy, peaceful, and all that is not that always is not possible because it is changing. Whatever be the good and bad, you continuously keep changing. From that, by doing any sort of karma, however intelligent I am in doing my karma, karma chitan nirbedamaya brahmanaha, meaning a thinker. Brahmanaha here means a thinker. You can be in any society. Nowadays, there is no Brahman, that the bifurcation is not there. So, any thinker, if he is able to analyze that whatever I have been doing in my life with all my sincerity, dharmic values, and intelligence and all that, I find that it is not doesn't give me, gives me happiness for the time being, and something else will come up, I will do again. So, Parikshalokan karmachitan nirbedamaya brahmanaha, Nastik Parikshalokan karmachitan nirbedamaya brahman, Nasti akritaha kritena. So, akritaha kritena, by doing, without doing anything that I want to be happy, that is not possible. So, by doing, you will bring about, by doing means modification. Before doing and after doing, the modification happens automatically. So, the modified change I don't want. I want changeless happiness. Nasti kritaha kritena.
Okay.
How is it possible? You are asking for a moon. Impossible. It's not going to happen. Nasti kritaha kritena. Okay, then what is the purpose? By doing I'm not getting means what? That vijnanartham. The only other possibility is that I am already the changeless being. Perhaps I don't know. That is why I am not able to own up anything that is happening in my life. I am not able to be satisfied totally. Temporarily only I am satisfied. So I want, so maybe total satisfaction is my reality. Since I have lost it, I am looking for satisfaction elsewhere. So tat vijnanartham, in order to understand that, Guru meva vigaje, Srotriyam Brahmanishtam, who has already seen this completeness in his life and is erudite enough, Srotriyam, he studied Shastra enough, he will be able to guide me into that vision. So that is the crux of that. Sadhana, the ataha, the meaning of the word ataha in Brahma Sutra, the second ataha, therefore, because one seeks nityatva, limitlessness, is not gained through action, he goes for the Brahma Jignasa. But for that, he needs to have the Chadana Sadushtaya Sampatti, meaning Shama, Dama, Titiksha, Uparama, Saddha, Samadhanam, all those qualifications which we have discussed before, like all this Amanitvam, Madamitvam, before that also, Sat Shraddha, all those things, everything that has been told as values in the previous chapters, and even the subsequent chapters 16, 17, we talk about Sat Shraddha and all that. So all those qualifications we have to be alert to that. It's not just listing it out and remembering, no. Whenever we do, as I have told, any one value you take, Ahimsa, Paramo Dharma, if you follow it properly, all other values will come together as a noodle. One by one you will gain, and you will find that Chitta Samadhanam, Chitta Shuddhi, then Chitta Naishcharyam, your focus. Then you will be able to understand. Then once that Chadana Chadushtaya Sampanna is there, then Jigyasa means proper inquiry through the Shastra, Acharya, Upadesha, like Gita, Upanishad and all, you will be able to take up one by one. Wherever there are doubts, you will go to this Upanishad, that Upanishad, understand, and move on. Slowly you will understand that your reality is nothing but Desa Kala Vastu Parichitam, the awareness being is your reality. That is the only changeless. That being the changeless, that is my reality, that is the reality of Ishvara. Everything else is changing. Even the changing is only, like as I have always been telling you, like a blow in movement. It appears. When a blow is moved, let us go to party and all will, sentence comes. But there is no sentence, there is only a blow. Likewise, life is also just a Chaitanya, the glow, Atma, Brahman, Ishvara is the only reality. Everything else is appears. It has to appear changing because it doesn't have, it's not a substance. Unless it is, since it is not a substance, it has to keep changing. Then only it will give an appearance.
Yes.
For you to appear, it has to change. And you cannot complain. It is not Shashwata, but it has to be changed. If it is changeless, the world is not in motion, it will come to a halt. Pralayam. That is Nataraja. That is what Nataraja is all about. The dance has to happen. So, we can't look for the impossible. Like, we cannot say it should not move and I want to changeless being. That is only you are. You are the only changeless being. Purushottamam, here, now. If you understand that, then everything else is the dance you can enjoy. So, that is precisely what is being told here. Yeah.
Swamiji, which Upanishad is this? Parichya, Lokan?
Mundaka Upanishad.
Mundaka Upanishad. So, it is significant that this Shastra, Sutra does not begin with Mumuksha. This means Mumuksha is included in the first word Ata, meaning thereafter. After gaining all the necessary qualifications for the sake of moksha, you should inquire into Brahman. That alone is moving away from samsara, and about this, one must be very definite, dhrida. Then one will be definite about the necessity for discrimination between the self and the not self. As a single stroke with an axe is not enough to fell a tree, a single attempt at discrimination between Atma and Anatma is not enough to free one from samsara. Repetition, abhyasa, is required. How much? Until samsara is gone. This is not an ordinary tree. It is avyaya, relatively imperishable and without end or beginning. Repeatedly we look at the fact that Atma is not the body, the sense organs, or any function of the mind. Once this is understood, having felt this tree of samsara by dismissing all that is anatma, we have to see what is atma. The end, gaining which there is no return, should be inquired into. Now we are looking at the meaning of the word tvam, you. Only here will the teaching work. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma has to find its mark only in the innermost self, Pratyagatma. Then the end that is achieved is one from which one will not depart. Otherwise, the jiva, no matter where he goes, is always a nomad. Even if he sets up a residence in heaven, he will eventually leave and go somewhere else. Here, however, there is no further travel. Therefore, the Lord says, Yasmin gata na nivartanti bhuyaha. Those who have reached this end do not return again to this samsara. That Brahman which is the end to be achieved, from which there is no return, is Adya, the one who is in the beginning, before all creation. Just as before the pot there was clay, all this was existence alone in the beginning. That existence is the person Purusha, out of whom everything has come. By using the word person Purusha, Bhagavan establishes that it is a conscious being and at the same time complete Purusha. The person who obtains in this body is the unborn person that was there before the creation. To him the jiva says, I surrender, prapadye. If that
This is the prapadye, this is the saranagati, it's true saranagati, not the tattooing. Yeah.
If that surrender is complete, only the Purusha is there. That false person alone can be surrendered, not the real one. Once the negation of anatma is done, only the innermost self, Pratyagatma, remains, who is nothing but Param Brahma, called here Purusha. This is the person from whom the creation is sent forth, Pravrittihi Prasrata. This ancient Purani, beginningless creation has come out of this Purusha. By surrendering to him, one may successfully inquire into the nature of oneself. First, dismissing all that is not the self, the very inquirer surrenders to the Purusha from whom everything has come. Who are the people who surrender to or seek this Purusha? The end they gain is one from which they do not return, na nivartanti bhuyaha. What are the qualifications of those who can gain such an end? Swamiji, that false person alone can be surrendered, not the real one.
Yeah, the ego alone. The fellow who identifies with the body, mind, senses all along.
Okay.
We have been operating That Atma we have surrendered to ego. Because we don't know what is Atma. But once we know, character Atma, ego will be just doing our bidding. If you do this, you do this, you will do. You will coordinate. You will just be a coordinator. Thereafter, it will not be the real person. You will be the real person.
Prashant, will you
Sure.
continue? Verse 5.
Verse 5, the adhikari who gains this end. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nirmana moha jita
Nirmana sanga dosha. Like that.
Nirmana moha jita sanga dosha adhyatma nitya vinivritta kamaha Dvandair vimukta sukha dukkha
Dvandvai vimuktaha.
Dvandair vimuktaha sukha dukkha san
Tanyaihi.
Sanyaihi
Nasal you have to say. The nose you have to say.
Sanyaihi Gacchantya Mudaha Padam
Mudaha. Achantya mudaha padam avyayam tat.
Gacchantya Mudaha Padam
Mudaha,
Avyayam Tat
Muttal சொன்னோம் இல்லையா muda.
Muda.
That
Muda.
shows the power of the
Da.
Gacchantya Mudaha Padam Avyayam Tat Nirmana Mohaha, those who are free from the demand for respect. Jita Sangha Doshaha, those who have conquered the limitation of attachment. Adhyatma Nityaha, those who are always focused on the self. Vinivritta Kamaha, those from whom desires have completely gone. Sukha Dukkha Sanyaihi,
Sanyaihi.
Dvandvaihi, from the opposites known as pleasure and suffering.
Sanya meaning it is name. No? Sukha, dukkha are just name and form, that's all. The dvandvas, opposites.
Sanyaihi, Dvandaihi, from the opposites known as pleasure and suffering. Vimuktaha, those who are totally free. Amudaha, those who are not
Mudaha.
deluded. Amudaha, those who are not
Muda. Mudan.
Amudaha.
Muda.
Amudaha. Okay.
Yeah, from the bottom of the tongue you must say da.
Swami,
Muda.
Swami,
You know, you can read Sanskrit.
என்னடா சொல்ற இல்லையா அந்த da.
Amudaha, those who are not deluded. We have a cousin called Amuda, AMUDHA, no, so I'm reading Amudaha like that. It's actually Amudaha, as you said.
That is Moda.
Okay, that may be
Pramod.
Amudam, it may be D, not with a dot at the bottom. See, D with a dot at the bottom is
Amudaha.
da.
Oh.
Yeah, Amuda is fine. Don't call her Amuda. With you.
Amudaha,
Amudam
those who are
is nectar. See, Amudam is nectar.
Yes.
D, that is true, pronounced as D, da. Here, D with a dot below is pronounced as da. What's the difference?
Amudaha, those who are not deluded. That. Avyayam Padam.
Padam.
Padam. Imperishable. Gacchati, they go to gain. Those who are free from the demand for respect and from non-objectivity, who have conquered the limitation of attachment, who are always focused on the self and from whom desires have completely gone, who are totally free from the opposites known as pleasure and suffering and are not deluded, go to gain that imperishable end. In the single word,
Actually, Swamiji, that Amanitvam, Adambitvam.
There again it comes, the finally, Maicha, Ananya, Yogena, Bhaktiravya, Vicharini, Vivikta Desas. There again, Adhyatma Jnana Nityatvam, Tattva Jnanartha Darshana. That is precisely what is being told here. Adhyatma Jnana Nityatvam has been mentioned as it is. And what do you call this? Another thing is, who are totally Adhyatma Nitya, the Tattva Jnanartha Darshanam is not mentioned, but is totally put together. All this put together is called Tattva Jnanartha Darshanam. Yeah.
Swamiji, this entire paragraph, those who are free from demand, from respect, from non-objectivity, conquer limitation of attachment, focused on the self, desires completely gone, totally free from the opposites, pleasure, suffering, not deluded. That is only Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma, right?
Yeah, very much. It is true. Once you understand,
But we have to
that's why it is
follow,
called Tattva Jnanartha Darshanam. There it is called in the 13th chapter, Adhyatma Jnana Nityatvam Tattva Jnanartha Darshanam. Not only that, in the second chapter itself, he is told very clearly, Nasato Vidyate Bhavaha, Na Bhavo Vidyate Sataha, Ubayoravi Drishtontaha, Tu Anayoho Tattva Darshvihi. Only a person who understands Sat and Sat, Asat as Asat, very clearly, he only is called Sat Tattva Darshi. Here also it is called Tattva Darshanam. In 13th chapter also it is called Tattva Darshanam. Meaning Tattva Darshanam. Tattvam means what? Seeing things as they are. That's all. Really translate into English, it is purely seeing things as they are. It looks so simple when we say it in English. When we say Tattva Darshanam, it becomes a Himalayan climb. And that is the problem. Because we are so much used to seeing things, not seeing things as they are. Either you look at Satyam as Mithya or Mithya as Satyam. Both ways we are deluded. So that is our life basically. That is why how it is. And basically we can say that is because the Satyam is not objectifiable. Since it is not Desakala Vastu Parichinnam, it does not have an object. And all our senses and mind are used to only seeing objectifiable things. So the conflict is, that's why it's called Maya, whatever you call, there is some, that Avaranam meaning Agrahanam is the Karanam. Agrahanam means we are born with that Agrahanam. There is as I was telling, that all our senses are looking for objectification, whereas the reality is not objectifiable. So the context is there for Agrahanam and Avaranam. So once we understand this, okay, it is non-objectifiable. Whatever objectifiable is Mithya. Whatever is non-objectifiable is Satyam. Once you discern it, there your journey begins. You have to start looking at life afresh thereafter. Then you will find that yes, everything is in place, beautifully. You won't be worried about what is changing. Because you know that you are changeless. That is what it is. Yeah.
Actually, second chapter itself, he finishes the Gita, like you said. But only when we read this, we understand that.
Correct. That is why this is called, that is why he said it's not enough you use the axe once. You have to keep on using the axe.
I know.
That Viveka Vaira Abhyasa. Abhyasena Kaunteya Vairagyena. He has told already earlier. Vairagyam and Abhyasa, continuously he has to keep hammering at it. Because there is not only this Janma, so many Janmas we have lived like that. So naturally we have to, all that has to be removed by reorientation. That is why meditation. Mananam, ask questions and get clarified. If someone, not only you ask questions and get clarified, you must be able to ask somebody else. When you go into the outside world, when somebody questions you, then you must be able to answer. Otherwise you will have doubts about your own understanding. So that is what we have to be careful about. That is why Mananam. That is called Mananam. Remove all the fallacies. And Bhagavan and Shastra itself will ask questions. But today's questions are very different compared to the question asked by Shankara.
Yes.
So he will give only those answers. But we have to now be ready. Once we understand it thoroughly, we must be able to face any question. Because our understanding has to be thorough. That is why it should not be only Krishna's understanding. Krishna's understanding has to become your understanding. Very important. Buddhincha Saradhin Viddhi. That also is told very clearly. All the time. Yeah.
Right. Actually, Swamiji, it's amazing to see how Bhagavan has taught that even after so many chapters, we are still not, like you said, Agrahanam only. It is not.
Yeah. So that is precisely why the whole Shastra is not very consistent and very compassionate also. They don't mind asking different questions and answers. That is precisely the whole teaching, even Upanishads, everywhere. All silly questions they ask. Even sometimes we feel very silly questions. Why? But Bhashyakara patiently answers. Kena Upanishad, the whole Upanishad is over. And one student asks, getting up and asks, can you teach me Upanishad? At the end of the Upanishad, he is asking. Just imagine.
Okay.
Upanishad Then the teacher understands, okay, what he has not understood certain things, then he explains again. That's how it is. So they were so patient and compassionate. Of course, fortunately, we are also fortunate enough to go through those teachings. We can ask questions, we can get the answers. Yeah.
In this single verse, Bhagavan captures all that was told in the 13th chapter and elsewhere with regard to qualifications. Nirmana mohas are those who are free from mana and moha. Mana, as we have seen, is demanding respect from others, or mana.
Amanitvam.
Amanitva.
To be free from this, we have to analyze why we demand respect. There are reasons for it. We may be so critical of ourselves that we cannot bear even the suggestion of criticism from others. Even though we may have qualifications that are worthy of respect, if we do not have an adequate sense of self-worth, we will seek it externally. This can express itself in a number of ways, and one of them is a demand for respect. To overcome this, a relative level of self-worth must be arrived at through healing one's damaged self-image. Finally, we have to ask, what is self-respect? When I am the only self that is available, who is to respect whom from what? There is nothing to compare oneself with and nothing to prove, nor anyone to prove it to. This is a fact to be recognized. I am Sat Chit Anandam Brahma, and everything here shines after me as its being in me. Moha is attributing false values to things. We superimpose upon objects and situations values which they do not have and eventually feel disappointed. Due to a delusory set of values, we look at the world without being dispassionate. By vichara, proper inquiry, we can gain the capacity to see things as they are. Thus, those who have freed themselves from a demand for respect and from non-objectivity are called nirmana mohas. Swamiji, at times I have thought, when we are contributing something to something, and we do it without any receiving commitments kind of attitude. We should not get anything out of it, and we do it silently. The satisfaction we get is completely immense because it is completely silent. No one praises you, no one tells you anything, no one finds faults with you. But sometimes, most of the times in today's world, most of the things are so glorified to the extent that if you do this, for getting something we do this. So how to develop in this type of world that we live in to do something that is not, the way that it is saying here?
Because that is what we have said that, no, in this. See, prayojanam and phalam, I have explained before also. Prayojanam means doing things as we understand to the best possible extent. In that prayojanam, prayogajanyam, sense, in Hindi what they call nirdarita samaye utpannam, meaning as you do it, you gain a sense of satisfaction because you have done your best even to the extent you understand, and of course you have planned for some and part of that. Planning is what the whole set of activities are broken into pieces, small activities. Today something, tomorrow something, tomorrow day after something, and all that. So every day, whatever is the broken part meant for the today, you do it with as prayojanam. Do it with your full concentration, full effect, and all that. So the prayojanam is immediate satisfaction, sense of satisfaction you get. That is where your free will is totally expressed. Your freedom, that I am here and now, that gets expressed in that action are called prayojanam. But once you put a tag of phalam, then the phalam, as I have always told, phalam is palguditaya liyate iti phalam. It will constantly changing, it will perishable. So, and also it is going to come at a much later point in time. Phalam is always adrishtam. There is an element of adrishtam. That drishtam is what is prayojanam, what you are doing. Adrishtam is what you cannot fathom. Hidden factors are always there. So, if you are doing for a phalam, which is expectation of praise or promotion or money or whatever you call it, that will come. But you must be ready for a disappointment. Since you must be ready to receive it as it comes. That is what they call prasada buddhi. So, if both these factors is karma yoga in terms of yoga karmastu kaushalam, as you do it for prayojanam, for seeing the result, drishtapalam, prayer or anything you do, pray for as you know it, as you do it, you get the prayojanam. Feel that sense of satisfaction. That is freedom. That is where you stand. Your self is Purnatvam stands there. The palam that comes later as part of the transaction, it is changing things. Palam means what? It will change. It will come, but when the time it comes, he may not be even ready to receive it. He may feel better. I didn't ask for it. I don't like it at all now, even though at that time I wanted it. Even you yourself will not like it. Whether you get it or not, it's a different thing. As you get it, then you get it the way in which you wanted, you don't know. Even when you get it, whether you're going to be satisfied, you don't know. So there's no point. Okay, you have to plan. Every day has to be planned, and every day we morning we eat because we think it will get digested, right? Otherwise you won't eat. But it will digest, to plus minus, you really don't know also that it is getting digested also. So it's all part of that. That is why the changing and will change. Don't put your heart into it. The changeless is you. You express your freedom in your action as prayojanam. Then your life is successful.
Actually, it's a very nice example, Swamiji.
Yeah.
The prayojanam is eating.
Our body is a very good educationist.
When you eat, the prayojanam is you feel full and happy.
One more thing, Swamiji, this, all these, whatever we saw in second chapter, as we go into the chapters, I'm seeing we are getting single things are getting detailed out into many branches. So that's why we are reading through the other chapters, even the second chapter is conveying, because we can't just learn anything at high level.
Yeah, very true. That is how it is. Actually, the whole Shastra itself is like that. As I have always told you, it starts with the Pratignya Vakya, a promise. It says, this is what it is. If you are already a ready student, very ready, but the first Vakya only you will understand. But if you are not ready, you will explain, I will ask questions and get it clarified. By the time you end the last, that is why it's called Upakrama Upasamhara. Upakrama is the Pratignya. Upasamhara is how the Upakrama is established. That is why even the whole Pramana, the Shatlinga is called Upakrama, Upasamhara is called one Linga. They don't call Upakrama as one Linga and Upasamhara as another Linga. Upakrama, Upasamhara is one Linga because Upakrama is only when it is proved to the satisfaction of the student, then only it becomes a Linga. Otherwise it remains a promise, undelivered. Promise has to be delivered. Upasamhara, the teacher has to make sure the teaching, the student walks away with the understanding. That is why Acharyavan Purushaha Veda. The person who has got the right Acharya, he knows. The onus is on that Acharya, not on the student. That is why Upakrama, Upasamhara. Then everything else in between, other 5 lingas in between. That studying, and then Titiksha, and then Samadhanam, Shraddha, all these are in between. If these things are all there, then Upakrama will become Upasamhara. Otherwise, somewhere in between there will be some problem.
And last question, Swamiji, after reading so much as a thought, Swamiji, we talk about Kuladevam, right? Kuladevam. So, for example, for me, Narayana will be Kuladevam. For someone, Shiva will be Kuladevam. What will be Kuladevam for, sannyasis, Swamiji?
No Kuladevam. Sannyasa is Undre Kulam Urgune Devan.
Okay.
There is no Kuladevam at all for sannyasi. No Gola, no Kula, no Gotra, there is no Bivade also.
That is okay, Swamiji. What I'm telling is, say for example, I am born in my dad's clan and I have Kuladevam as Narayana. Now, I have a Narayana opposite my house. I have a Narayana which is 100 kilometers away from my house. Now, the society says, when we hear all these discourses and all, they say, at least once you should go to the Kuladeva temple and do it because Devatam is Kuladevatam. But I have seen some people who have the same amount of immersion of, the devotion, because we are learning all this to just accept Ishvara, to just accept something as Ishvara and not differentiate the forms as Shiva, Vishnu, all those things. So sometimes the confusion arises in the mind. Devatam, Kuladevatam. We say we are learning Ishvara like that. So some people consider that Ishvara, Narayana himself as Kuladevam and go for it. So that type of thought, is it good or should we still follow what the society says as Devatam, Kuladevatam kind of?
No, it is something like Swamiji always used to say that, see, the whole what do you call it? Ishvara, Atma, Paramatma, there is only one being, that is Desa Kala Vastu Aparichat. But the whole being, as I have explained before, Anuron, Aniyan, Mahato, Muhiyan, this expresses itself into the world of objects and orders. There is a psychological order, there are elements. And every element, Shastra does not look at an element as element. Vayu as Vayu Devata, Agni as Agni Devata. So every aspect which is logically happening is converted into a Devata. So even a Kula Devata is looked at like that. A Devata who is performing the role of a Devata for a particular aspect in the, as Ishvara. It's all. So there is no harm in worshipping Kula Devata or other Devatas. When you go to Narayana temple, you go to Vishnu temple, you go pray to Vishnu. When you go to Shiva temple, go pray to Shiva, Brahma. All those things is not an issue. You must, the only thing is that you should not think that that is the only, if that is the only Ishvara, nothing else is Ishvara. Because these are all, what do you call, we are all avahanam. We do avahanam on a pratima or a pratishtha or whatever a name or a form. And in that we see Ishvara. That's all. The Ishvara you see is the same. But the pratishtha may be different. It doesn't matter. Actually, as long as you understand, as I was always telling you, that as long as you are looking for the oneness of Ishvara and yourself, in any pratima and you pray as Ishvara, it's fine. But ultimately your understanding is what is important. Not what they don't, we don't have to go around telling people that not this, not no. Every pratima is okay. A tree can be worshipped, why not a pratima? Why not Narayana or why not Shiva? That is how it is. In the relative world, everything is, but everything is Ishvara. That understanding should be there. Yeah. So where we stop?
Yeah.
Jita Sangha Doshas, we have to start from there. The paragraph that starts with Jita Sangha Dosha.
Say.
Nirmana Mohasla stop.
Right. Okay. Right. Okay.
Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om